Горите в аду, блядь, точно так же.
Wars are often remembered for the weapons that roar across battlefields. But what if the real story lies not in the missiles themselves, but in the silent networks that keep them moving? Russia's strategy in Ukraine has shifted, peeling back layers of infrastructure that once seemed untouchable. Fuel, energy, and ports, targets once thought too broad to matter, are now being methodically struck. This is no random pattern, it is the anatomy of a calculated campaign. One designed to drain endurance and force a slow suffocation rather than a sudden collapse. Amid this shift, a name keeps resurfacing: Izmail, not for what it was yesterday, but for what it represents today. A symbol of where the war is bending, and perhaps where it is heading next. Keep your eyes on the story. On the night of September 2nd to 3rd, Russia carried out one of its most concentrated drone assaults against the port of Izmail in the Odessa region. According to multiple accounts, over 100 UAVs were launched. More than 100 were intercepted by Ukrainian defenses, yet dozens managed to penetrate, igniting fires within the port zone. The barrage lasted nearly 2 hours, setting ablaze storage areas and fuel terminals. Although quick emergency responses prevented catastrophic destruction, the incident demonstrated how even a partially successful strike could paralyze logistics. Izmail had shifted from a secondary outlet into a central target of Russia's campaign to dismantle Ukraine's port infrastructure. Just weeks earlier, on August 21st, Izmail had already been placed under fire. Ukrainian officials reported that a fuel and energy facility inside the port was struck, causing a large-scale blaze. The significance of this attack lay in its precision. Fuel infrastructure is the bloodstream of both civilian industry and mechanized warfare. By striking reserves and pumping systems, Russia directly challenged Ukraine's capacity to maintain mobility, logistics, and resilience. Izmail's vulnerability had been exposed, setting the stage for the escalation witnessed in September. Looking further back, the sequence began on June 13th, when Russian Geran UAVs targeted another port infrastructure in the Odessa region. Rather than inflict immediate crippling losses, Russia aimed for attrition, chipping away at the southern port network one strike at a time. This evolving strategy concentrated on Izmail, a hub connecting Black Sea access with Danube River trade. Each successive attack revealed an operational logic: weaken Ukraine's ports, restrict exports, and apply pressure on both the economy and the battlefield supply chain. Seeing from the several strikes, there must be a reason behind it. A port isn't just a dock where ships unload. It is an intricate ecosystem of facilities, materials, and systems that sustain both trade and warfare. Within Izmail and other Odessa region ports, several layers of critical assets lie exposed to aerial threats. First, fuel terminals and energy depots dominate the landscape. These vast tanks and pipelines store diesel, aviation fuel, and maritime supplies. Their military value cannot be overstated. They power armored divisions, artillery transport, and air operations. When Russia struck Izmail's fuel and energy site in August, it was not only crippling civilian energy flows, but also undermining Ukraine's capacity to conduct mechanized warfare. Second, grain silos and conveyor systems are central to Ukraine's economy and global food security. Destroying them disrupts export flows to Europe, Africa, and Asia, creating ripple effects far beyond the battlefield. Grain exports fund Ukraine's war effort, and their loss diminishes both financial leverage and international credibility. Third, ports house industrial workshops and repair facilities. Dry docks, machine halls, and warehouses can be converted to maintain patrol boats, barges, and even armored vehicles moved through river transport. Losing these facilities denies Ukraine a nearby repair capability, forcing equipment to be serviced farther inland at greater logistical cost. Last, modern ports contain command, control, and surveillance systems. Radar towers, vessel tracking centers, and digital monitoring platforms manage maritime flows, but also function as dual-use command nodes for military logistics. Their destruction or disruption compromises Ukraine's ability to coordinate secure supply convoys across the Danube corridor. Take a deeper look. Izmail's geography alone makes it more than just another port on Ukraine's southern frontier. Perched directly on the Danube River, the city looks across the water to Romania, a NATO member state. This proximity means that every strike on Izmail is never confined solely to Ukrainian territory. Each UAV swarm, each plume of fire takes place within eyesight of the alliance's borders, changing the equation entirely. The September 2025 drone barrages highlighted this razor's edge. Reports from both local officials and NATO monitors indicated that several drones flew dangerously close to Romanian airspace. In some cases, fragments of debris were confirmed to have fallen on Romanian soil. While these fragments caused no casualties, the symbolism was undeniable. Russia was striking mere meters from NATO's frontier, making Izmail a high-risk, high-reward target. For Russia, the reward is obvious. By continuing to attack Izmail, Moscow disrupts Ukraine's export flows, destroys fuel reserves, and strangles logistics. At the same time, the strikes deliver a psychological message to NATO. We can operate this close to you, and you will do nothing. This projection of audacity enhances Russia's deterrence, suggesting that Western powers are unwilling to risk escalation, even when the battlefield approaches their borders. Yet the risks for Russia are equally clear. Any miscalculation, a drone straying into Romanian skies, a missile fragment causing casualties on NATO territory, could trigger Article 5 consultations. While NATO has so far responded with restraint, deploying air defense reinforcements and issuing stern condemnations, the thin line between spillover and provocation remains fragile. One wrong move could escalate the conflict beyond Ukraine's borders, something both Moscow and the West claim they wish to avoid. Izmail is more than a Ukrainian stronghold. It is a test site for brinkmanship, where the fog of war blurs into NATO's red lines. Every explosion on the Danube bank sends a dual message: to Kyiv, of Ukraine's vulnerability, and to Brussels, of Russia's willingness to dance at the edge of confrontation. Will there be any strikes from the Russian arsenal to this key port infrastructure later by the end of 2025? We'll see it later on another news from the battlefield. Thanks for watching.